Hello, and welcome back to MoJo, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the one and only Powerpuff Girls / JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
This week we're talking about the JoJo's Stardust Crusaders episodes, the High Priestess Parts 1 and 2. And this will be our last Stardust Crusaders episode for a little bit, because after this, we are going back to the Powerpuff Girls. We'll be discussing Season 3. And then after that, we'll come back and do the other half of Stardust Crusaders. Before we start talking about these last two episodes, just a request. If you haven't already, follow / subscribe to the podcast and leave us a comment or a review, depending on what platform you're listening to this on. Getting more reviews could help put us out there so more folks can discover the pod.
And we will read some of the reviews on the show. We also have another podcast, What We Pod in the Shadows, where we are just currently discussing Season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows. So if you want to listen to us discussing a show about vampires that live on Staten Island that's pretty funny, check us out over there.
Yeah. So vampires get up to all sorts of shenanigans, and they're nowhere near as evil as Dio.
Did you have news?
I do. So this will come out probably sometime in May, but as of recording, it is JoJo Day, and so we had a couple announcements today. Of course, we have finally gotten the announcement that Part 7 Steel Ball Run is in production, and there were a couple pics from that. There was like a trailer too. I know a lot of people are really excited for Steel Ball Run, and it's really popular. I haven't gotten to it yet. I've only gotten to Stone Ocean. And then also announced were some new action figures of the first 6 JoJo's, and we are getting a mobile game. I guess it was announced last year, and there will be more details about it on late June. That could be fun. Hopefully it's something that you can get outside of Japan. I know there have been other JoJo mobile games, but they're not available in the App Store or anything. But I mean, the big thing, of course, is that we're getting Part 7 animated. So that should be fun. I'll try to have updates on that when I hear new stuff, casting announcements, when we get an actual date for the premiere, stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty exciting that we know we're getting that for sure.
Cool. Okay, so the High Priestess Part 1. The Joestar group planned to travel the Red Sea via the submarine, and apparently Abdul knows how to pilot it. They marvel at how spacious it is inside and the amenities. Jotaro points out how trapped they would be if attacked. It contains a satellite phone. Gramps tells them to be quiet so he can call Susie. She is in the middle of picking out a dress for a charity event with her butler / assistant, Rosa. Rosa seems astonished when Gramps calls. He tells Susie he has more business to attend to. He asks if she's talked to Holly, and Susie says Holly had a cold that turned to pneumonia, and she is thinking about visiting her. He has to talk her out of it in order to protect her from the truth. He asks to talk to Rosas, and Rosa says Holly continues to get worse and that they should tell Susie. Gramps refuses. Susie is upset. They hung up. Polnareff gets behind the wheel of the submarine and immediately scrapes into something. Kakyoin is on coffee duty. Abdul spots the coast of Africa through the periscope. He says there is an underwater tunnel. When the coffee is served, there is one too many cups. Gramps grabs one and it turns into a head with arms that slices off his prosthetic hand and punches him. Jotaro brings out Star Platinum, and the creepy stand disguises itself as one of the gauges. Kakyoin checks on Gramps and says he was just knocked out, but his hand is a problem. Polnareff announces they're at a coral reef and so close to Africa when the phone rings. Abdul says the stand is the High Priestess, and the stand user is Rose, who is probably on land. Abdul says the stand can turn into anything made of a mineral. They wonder how it got in when a bunch of water starts pouring in from a hole the stand must have cut. So I'm like, how did they not notice? I feel like the water would have come shooting out first and then the stand would have like appeared, because the water wouldn't just, if that's how it got into the sub, is what I'm saying.
They're the least observant smart people, and also Polnareff.
Doesn't really make sense. The phone rings and Jotaro answers. It is Susie babbling away. Then she questions the commotion she can hear. So there's like sirens going off and she can hear the water pouring in. Jotaro answers that Gramps can't come to the phone, and she recognizes his voice and asks why he's with his grandpa. Jotaro says everything is fine, and they'll talk after everything calms down, and then they crash to the sea bottom. Susie can't get through to them. Polnareff carries Gramps and says they are running out of air. Jotaro tries to figure out which gauge is the stand when she pops out of the light behind Kakyoin and slices his neck. After Hierophant Green and Star Platinum are dispatched, she disappears into the wall. Abdul bellows that they need to move to another room. He thinks they can trap it in the room. When he goes to grab the wheel to open the door, he sees the wheel is now the High Priestess. She tries to lash out with her claws when Jotaro grabs her and presses her between his hands. When he tries to harm her, she turns to a razor blade and cuts his hands. She cackles. They bring out Magician's Red and Silver Chariot, but they can't hurt her, so they run into the next room. Susie is still worried about why Jotaro is with Gramps. She talks like Jotaro is still a sweet boy. They realize they have to leave the sub and don scuba gear.
I'm genuinely surprised of all that he calls almost everyone he comes across a bitch. I'm surprised he didn't do that to Susie.
Oh.
I'm like, he's not a sweet boy, Susie. He's an asshole.
The way that they talk about Susie, I'm just like, does she have like dementia or something? Maybe that's why Jotaro's being kind for him. But I'm like, she kind of has like the attention span of a squirrel, but then she is observant because she's like, well, how come this is going on?
Yeah.
He shouldn't be anywhere near Jotaro. Jotaro's supposed to be in Japan. So I don't know. She's kind of annoying or whatever, but then they all were like very careful with her. So I'm just not totally sure what's going on. And I mean, apparently he's been calling, like, I'm not sure how often, but I don't think this is the first time during the trip because they're trying to keep her from visiting. So I don't know, like, once it's all over with, are they gonna tell her what happened or what? Because, I mean, Holly could still die.
Yeah.
And one of them could get killed or seriously injured.
I mean, I kind of feel like he intends to totally keep this from Susie in the way that he wants to with Holly. It's like, I don't want her to think that anything happened other than she just got sick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why he can't tell them. It just seems like ridiculously overprotective. I think they could, like, handle it. I'm sure they'd be upset that they're, like, risking their lives and shit. But, like, it's important and you shouldn't, like, just keep that to yourself and your crew.
Yeah. Yeah, like they would be upset initially, but then, you know, if something really bad does happen, then at least, like, it's not, the whole entire thing is not, like, a complete surprise.
Right.
Maybe they think she'd get on a plane or something, though, if she had the entire story, you know, like, I'm gonna take out this Dio myself. Granny's gonna get out her Tommy gun. Like, I don't know. Like,
now that I would like to see.
But really, they could just tell her, you know, like, Holly's sick and they're looking for a cure.
Yeah.
And she could be there with Holly and like keep her company and stuff. Cause I'm sure Holly could, cause I think she is like where she's like resting a lot, but obviously she's taking phone calls from her.
Yeah.
So she's awake some of the time.
Yeah, she's not like fully comatose at this point. And I'm sure she's like worrying about like where Jotaro is too. Like, is he still school aged?
I don't know if Holly knows what's going, like the whole stand thing and the Dio thing, like what they're doing. This stand was a little crazy to kind of like describe. It does remind me a little bit of I forget what that one was called, but the lolly-ho thing that the baby had.
Yeah, Death 13.
Only because it's like partway through that episode, it's revealed it's just basically like a head and arms, and then it just had like a cloak on or whatever.
Yeah.
Because this thing is just like a face and like arms. It's got some vicious claws, but it doesn't really have a body.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it can't, disguise itself as like one of them. So like the whole thing with saying it's a mineral, it's just got to be like a inanimate object type thing. So it's not like it can't be Kakyoin or something. It's kind of a little weird, like to not be in sight of the stand user, I guess. Like how does she direct it if she can't see? Or do they see through the stand's eyes? Like I don't totally.
I think that they can, or at least some of them are able to.
Because like they're down in the sub and she's up on the shore or something somewhere like, close by.
Yeah, sort of like how familiars work in Dungeons & Dragons, or you can kind of like send them off to do something and you can see what they're up to. I know you haven't played D&D, but just that's sort of what it reminds me of.
I mean, like what we saw with Polnareff, like he couldn't fight that creepy doll because he couldn't see. And then finally they broke a mirror and then he could see.
Yeah.
So it's like the Silver Chariot was like just slashing around blindly because he couldn't see. So it's like they kind of can't act on their own accord, really.
Yeah. Seems like it really just depends on the stand.
And I guess, like, Gramps, I mean, I don't know if they're, like, carrying around his hand, but, like, he's got to run around with missing a hand.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he gets a new hand or how they get it to him. I don't feel like he ran around the second half of this, just the one hand, but I don't remember how he would have gotten another one. It's like the Speedwagon Foundation just, like, runs him one or something.
Yeah, they may be able to, like, reattach it or do something.
Yeah.
So, and, like, it seems like they are wealthy. Like, I guess I didn't really write down all the details of, like, Susie's background, but she's got, like, a manservant, and she's, like, putting together an outfit for, like, I think a charity situation. Are they supposed to be in New York? I can't remember.
Yeah, they, like, moved to New York after the events of Part 2.
So I don't know if she works like with the Speedwagon Foundation or like they just are independently wealthy. I'm not sure what all that is about.
Yeah, I think maybe they just have like that Joestar money, like that would have come from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess they were. The first JoJo was wealthy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they thought they could trap the stand in a room since they were in a sub and it got to them.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe temporarily while they escape, possibly. But she somehow tunneled in. And probably the whole thing is like metal.
Right. Whatever. I guess I don't normally think of metal being a mineral, but it must be for the to work with the stand.
I mean, I think they're just saying it's not organic material.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go on to the next one, or if you have something else to say.
Okay, I can start talking about High Priestess Part 2. Nobody's been scuba diving before except for Joseph, so he has to quickly go over diving instructions with everyone. He says the most important part of diving is not to panic, and that they can't surface too quickly because it might make their lungs burst. He explains how to use a regulator or respirator or whatever, and Polnareff is really whiny about that. Joseph says he wants them to use hand signals to communicate, but the others are like, we can just use our stands to communicate underwater. Kakyoin and Polnareff demonstrate their favorite hand signals, and Joseph's like, damn it, we don't have time for you guys to dick around. Almost as soon as they get into the ocean, Polnareff's regulator comes alive and starts tagging him. It is, of course, the High Priestess having disguised itself as scuba gear. It bites Polnareff's face and tries to go down his throat. Everyone is horrified, but Joseph and Kakyoin send their stands up Polnareff's nose and manage to grab the High Priestess and prevent it from damaging Polnareff's organs. Hierophant tries to squeeze it, but it turns into a harpoon gun. Polnareff and Kakyoin send Hierophant and Chariot after the harpoon gun, but it is still able to reload itself. They manage to trap the High Priestess in the submarine, however, and seemingly get Polnareff a new regulator. Polnareff is in awe of the ocean floor, but Joseph scolds him because they need to get out before they run out of oxygen. Avdol doesn't think the High Priestess will come after them because it can only transform into minerals, not fish or bubbles. They find a tunnel, which are clearly a pair of nostrils, and for some reason swim closer, thinking it will take them closer to the Egyptian coast. The rocks around the tunnel turn into a giant face with giant teeth, and it sucks them into its mouth. Polnareff is in awe of its power because it was so small earlier. The stand's user, Rose, gloats from up above the water surface that she's going to grind them to bits with the High Priestess. Why didn't they think of the seabed being made of minerals when the rocks around them are minerals too? In the High Priestess's mouth, Rose flirts with Jotaro because he's her type. She's still going to make her stand digest him, so Dio will shower her with praise. Polnareff whispers something into Jotaro's ear, and Jotaro reluctantly flirts back, saying he'd like to see her face, even just this once, because maybe she'd be his type too. They all start trying to compliment Rose and say how beautiful and elegant she must be, but Rose doesn't believe them and decides to hit them with the stand's tongue. Jotaro lands in the stand's molars, and everyone is horrified that he's about to be crushed to death. He summons Star Platinum to punch the teeth, but Rose insists they're as hard as diamonds, and he'll never be able to break them. The others try to send their stands to help Jotaro, but they're not fast enough, and witness Jotaro's oxygen tank being crushed between the molars. They all cry out in horror and feel bad for not saving him, when they hear distantly at first a series of Rose, and Star Platinum punches its way out from between the teeth. Star Platinum busts out all of the High Priestess's teeth, and they are able to escape to the surface. On the shore, they find an unconscious Rose, and Polnareff goes to check her out to see if she's pretty or not, but of course all her teeth have been knocked out by Star Platinum, so Polnareff is grossed out. They finally made it to Egypt, something that should have taken 20 hours by plane, but took them 30 days instead. The narrator recaps the season and all the stands they faced along the way. Only a few tarot cards still remain, but what new threats lie in Egypt? A Speedwagon Foundation member spots a group of cloaked individuals through his binoculars and is decapitated shortly after by Dio. Dio calls the Speedwagon Foundation meddlesome flies. He decapitates another guy and asks Johnson's body if he can feel his descendants getting ever closer. Joseph talks to Suzy on the phone and lies that Jotaro has been helping him with his work. Suzy is amazed that the work is important enough that Joseph has asked for help, and she wants to talk to Jotaro on the phone. She says she's proud of him and says that the Joestar men can accomplish anything when they work together. Rosa says that he's worked for the Joestar family for 30 years, but they've never faced something of this magnitude before, and Suzy's like, calm down, it's just a little business trip, not knowing that it's not just a little business trip. Joseph declares that after a century, it's time to end Dio's grip on their family. Jotaro reminds him that they don't have to do it all on their own. Kakyoin calls them from their new jeep and is like, come on, let's get going before dark. The narrator talks about Egypt and its culture, and wonders what bizarre adventures await the Joestar group there. And then we go to the after-credits scene, where we see a Speedwagon chopper flying across the desert. And in the back of the chopper, under a sheet, we see a single blue eye. And that's where we end the first half of Stardust Crusaders.
Well, fine. I was just thinking how Dio has, is it Joseph's body?
He has Jonathan's body.
Jonathan's body, so he's like great-grandpa. Like, yeah. Come home to daddy! Like, this is another, I don't know, like, some of the stand users, they kind of, like, go into more detail about them. It seems like Avdol did recognize her. He knew the name of the stand and her name, but, like, we really didn't even get to see her.
Yeah.
And like the stand did seem to be fairly powerful, but then kind of was quickly defeated and didn't really do a whole lot of damage on them. There was like some wounds, but
Yeah, I would say, like, well, I know it was mostly Polnareff that got wrecked, but I would say Judgment, like, last time, like, wrecked the absolute shit out of them.
and so it's like these women ones aren't doing a whole lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like we're not really getting a whole lot about them or I don't know. She's kind of whiny and
Yeah.
oh, and then like just that like oh JoJo might be my type. Like and
I'm like, you're here to kill him. Just stop thinking.
yeah, like what?
Just get it over with.
Are we just talking to like because you saw him? Like you don't even know him? Like
Yeah.
she could have just been like, it's a pity, Jotaro. We're around the same age and I think you're handsome. I don't know. I guess basically they've all made it to Egypt anyway. Finally, the group is intact, except they dumped Anne off.
Yeah.
But not that she was a stand user.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't have been too helpful because only a stand can defeat a stand.
So I mean, I get that there's obviously like these stand. There's gonna be some stand users in their way, but like, has Dio made a bunch of like vampire minions? We don't really know about that right now.
Yeah.
And then like I think Inyaba was kind of helping him or whatever, and he doesn't have her anymore.
Tio's very full of himself, and he's like, I can do this all on my own.
I don't really know what he was worried about that she was gonna squeal about possibly anyway.
Mm-mm.
They know what he is.
Yeah, he's a vampire with a stand.
I mean, I guess Gramps knows what he is. So I don't know that. Like he kind of explained a little bit to Jotaro, but do Kakyoin and Polnareff, especially Polnareff, do they really know what's they're about to come up against?
I don't know, unless like Joseph explained this to them like off screen. I have no idea. I mean, I know they had like the flesh buds, but you know, that's not like something a vampire normally does. So it's not like, oh man, they have a flesh blood, must be a vampire.
Yeah, so I'm like, are they're gonna go in ill prepared? And then he's the only one like that knows how to like use Haman.
Yeah.
Too. So, but I guess the Speedwagon Foundation could have come up with some ways to like defeat Dio, even though they didn't realize he was still alive.
Yeah, I would think they'd have like some like anti-vampire like precautions. At least I'd hope they would, because it's been vampires 3 parts of it.
I'm not sure how they will kill Dio because he was like just ahead before and he survived.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But well, you may know. Don't say you don't know. But I think I mentioned at the beginning, like with Holly and Gramps, they had like matching red stones.
Yeah.
So maybe they still have some of that, them Pillarman masks and crap. Because like Dio, was he? I can't remember now. Was he part of the Pillarmen?
No.
Not, but I mean, like, did their stories overlap whatsoever? Like he had died, and then the Pillarmen were a completely separate thing.
Pretty much. Their only connection really is that they're like vampires because of the stone mask.
So I don't know if like that kind of stuff would work on him or not. I guess since he was made that way, right? With the stone mask.
Yeah, I mean, I would think. I'm going to talk about my trivia for this episodes.
Okay.
Okay, so my trivia for these 2 episodes. Rosas was originally named Roses after the band Guns N' Roses.
My God.
I knew you wouldn't like that. Rose was originally named Midler after Bette Midler. The Rose part is named after Bette Midler's song/album The Rose. Oh, it's sort of like the J. Giles centerfold thing.
I'm aware of The Rose.
I am not, but I don't know a lot of like Bette Midler's like discography.
I don't really either, but like it's just kind of a known thing.
Yeah. Okay. And then the tarot card, the High Priestess, in the upright position represents the subconscious, wisdom, anima, enlightenment, serenity, and mystery. I will paraphrase the booklet with my tarot deck here. It says she is in between worlds and embodies the eternal feminine spirit. She is the guardian of the unconscious, guiding us to look inwards and listen to our feelings and intuition. In the Rider-Waite deck, the High Priestess is depicted as a woman in a strange-looking crown holding a scroll and sitting between two pillars. One black with a B on it and the other one white with a J on it. The letters B and J, not like a bee the animal and a blue jay. There are these strange yellow and red fruit behind her. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be. I almost thought pomegranates, and a crescent moon at her feet. In the reverse position, the High Priestess symbolizes repression, mistrust, secrets, and loss. So I'm not sure how that really relates to the stand. Maybe the mistrust that they had to feel near inanimate objects. I don't know.
Yeah. Like the High Priestess kind of looked like a, I don't know, like a mask almost.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like something out of like maybe like kabuki theater or something.
Yeah. And then it was almost like it had like the top knot thing or something, but then it was like cut off. Like it was just like, I don't know, there was like the ponytail up there, but it was like chopped. I don't know. I'm not even sure like its looks was like a High Priestess
Nah.
type thing.
I'd almost think that this one would work more since it's supposed to have to do with like the unconscious and like your intuition and shit. Like that almost would work better than like Death 13.
Yeah, the lolly-ho.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably does make more sense.
But yeah, maybe that's just me. I feel like if I did like some tarot themed powers and stuff, I would maybe like lean more into what the tarot represents. I'm not sure how much research Rocky did and everything when assigning the tarot cards. Yeah. Some of it works. Some of it doesn't really make sense. And yeah.
They don't really lean into they're named after the tarot cards, but then that's kind of, at least 50% of them, that's kind of where like the resemblance ends. It's not.
Yeah.
Because like Centerfold kind of died like the name of his tarot card, but other than that, we're not seeing that. That's probably the closest any of them got to their namesake.
Indeed.
Do you know what the other coming up, like what ones are left? If you don't, that's okay.
I can only think of like one right now.
Okay, that's fine.
I know there's a couple others. They're not like all tarot cards in this next half.
Oh.
Some of them are like, well, I won't spoil it for you, but they're just not all tarot cards. Because like Rocky just kind of like ran out of them at a certain point. And he didn't use like the minor arcana or anything either, so. So next time we talk, we will be getting back to the Powerpuff Girls. So we will be on season 3. The episodes we will be discussing are called Fallen Arches and the Main Event. So tune in for those. And we'll get back to some more silliness.
So don't forget to smash all the buttons.
Yeah. Make sure to like/subscribe and follow or leave a comment. And until next time, I'll be the roundabout. Goodbye.
Goodbye.